Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2020, round 11 of the season. Welcome to the first ever Eiffel Grand Prix. You may also be hearing this Grand Prix known as the German Grand Prix as we head to the Nurburgring. Round 11 of the season. We are now in the closing stages of the championship, and the next 4 rounds, the German Grand Prix, the Portuguese Imola and Turkish Grand Prix, are all venues we never in a million years expected to visit in 2020. 2 races at Bahrain in November and December, with our championship finale once again being held at Abu Dhabi on the 13th of December. Last time we visited the Nürburgring was all the way back in 2013, and fun fact, all 3 drivers on the podium that day are still racing in 2020. It was Hamilton on pole, Vettel P2, Mark Webber P3, but come race day it was Vettel winning his home Grand Prix, Raikkonen and Grosjean on the podium, both of them driving for Lotus on that day. Last time out in 2020, the Russian Grand Prix was not a day for Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas claiming his 2nd victory of the season, Max Verstappen 2nd in qualifying, 2nd in the Grand Prix, Hamilton rounding out the podium. And after the Russian Grand Prix, this is how your championship looks in 2020. Lewis Hamilton still leads the way, 205 points for the British driver. Valtteri Bottas closes in slightly on 161. Verstappen feeling a little bit lonely in 3rd place, but the fight for 4th is just spectacular. Lando Norris 65 points, with Alex Albon just 1 point behind in 5th, Daniel Ricciardo just 1 point behind him in 6th, Leclerc and Stroll 7th and 8th, both joint on 57 points, Perez 1 point behind those 2 in 9th, and Pierre Gasly on 45, rounding out that top 10, but just 20 points off 4th place. Your bottom half of the table looks like this, with Carlos Sainz struggling in 2020. He's P11 in front of Esteban Ocon, who's slowly getting a little bit of form in this latter half of the season. Sebastian Vettel 13th place. Can he recover some of his talent at this weekend's German Grand Prix, his home Grand Prix? Danny Kvyat 14th. Nico Hülkenberg, who raced for 2 Grand Prix at Silverstone, is P15. Raikkonen on 2 points. Giovinazzi also on 2. Magnussen on 1. Latifi, Russell and Romain Grosjean all yet to score. Your constructors standings looks like this, with Mercedes comfortably leading the way, Red Bull comfortably in 2nd, but once again that fight for best of the rest is just incredible. McLaren currently in 3rd, just 2 points in front of Racing Point, who are just 5 points in front of Renault. A little bit of a gap further back to Ferrari in 6th place, whose real challengers are AlphaTauri in 7th. 4 points for Alfa Romeo, 1 for Haas, Williams the only team yet to score. Before we jump into your hot lap newsroom and predictions, your tyre choice for this weekend looks a little bit like this, going a little bit more conservative than last time out in Sochi. The middle of the range, C2 hard, C3 medium and C4 soft. Does that really matter though? Because if we head over to the weekend weather report, this looks spicy. Friday, Saturday and Sunday, sunny with a chance of rain. It's cold, 15, 12 and 11 degrees over the weekend, with over 50% chance of rain every single day, every single session. It's cold, it's going to be wet, it's going to be a thriller. If you don't know what this incredible circuit looks like and why we're all so excited to return, here is your hot lap at the Nürburgring for the 2020 German Grand Prix. Welcome everyone to your hot lap for the Formula 1 2020 German Grand Prix here at the Nürburgring. I've been waiting for this one. We are returning. Sadly, the lap is not on Formula 1 2020, it's on Project Cars 3, on board with Max Gunter's Formula E BMW through turn 1, carnage. Lap 1 through turn 2, keep as tight as you can on the inside, drift it out to the wide, trying your very, very best to keep that foot planted as we keep turning left and suddenly swoop right for turns 3 and 4. A short straight here, no DRS in use in the Grand Prix as we head down towards the very quick turn 5, which could be flat out come Sunday in the 2020 cars, and the tight right-hander of turn 6. Overtaking opportunities potentially if we've got a quicker car working their way back through the field. Down to one of the most iconic parts of the circuit, the Dunlop chicane. We've seen incidents throughout Formula 1 history here at the Nürburgring. At this very corner, will we see something similar this weekend? Through turns 8 and 9, a very quick, almost chicane. They're certainly flat in a Formula 1 2020 car. Only 6 more corners now as we go through turn 10 and very quickly turn 11, similar to the complex at 8 and 9, but rounding off sector 2, setting ourselves up now for sector 3. DRS very likely to be in effect here, charging up the hill through the silent turn 12, if you want to really call that a corner. Still planted, still charging our way up the hill as we've got the final chicane of turns 13 and turn 14. One more to go now, then it's maybe an overtaking opportunity if you can get side by side. We saw Hamilton and Webber go side by side here all the way back in 2013 through the final corner, and that is your lap for the Nürburgring German Grand Prix. Heading on over then to the newsroom, there's lots to talk about heading into this weekend's Grand Prix. A 2-week gap since that awesome race at Sochi, and this weekend there is lots to talk about. Starting off with the huge story breaking in midweek, Honda are leaving Formula 1. If you want to see a full breakdown of my thoughts and future plans for both Red Bull, AlphaTauri and Honda, a separate video is available on the channel. But in short, at the end of next season 2021, Honda will be leaving Formula 1. That leaves both Red Bull and AlphaTauri without a power unit, and it's a decision which has taken the Formula 1 world by complete shock. Honda have been getting better and better and better each season, and so to pull out just before a big regulation change is a huge statement by the team and a huge crisis for both Red Bull and AlphaTauri. Will they go with Ferrari? Will they go with Mercedes? Both seem unlikely, but what does seem like an option is a possibility of return to Renault, but also a chance for Red Bull to buy out the ownership and IP of the Honda power unit and run it themselves along with Mogan. This weekend will also go down in Formula 1 history. A record-breaking weekend could be on the cards. First up, Kimi Räikkönen, if he starts the Grand Prix, will become the most experienced Formula 1 driver of all time, competing in 323 Formula 1 Grand Prix, a ridiculous amount for the Iceman. Can he score points? That will be the target, but for the 2007 World Champion, he's done it all in Formula 1, and what an achievement, even if Kimi isn't too excited about it himself. However, the big record that can be equalled this weekend is Lewis Hamilton. The British driver can match Michael Schumacher's record of 91 Formula 1 victories. Can he make it possible this weekend? Doing it at Michael Schumacher's home Grand Prix is really quite poetic. Hamilton, his eyes are on the prize, on the edge of greatness that we discussed yesterday in our featured video. And finally, the Ferrari Juniors, Callum Ilott and Mick Schumacher, are going to be stressed to the limit this weekend, both making their debuts this weekend at the German Grand Prix in FP1. Mick Schumacher will debut for the first time in F1 for Alfa Romeo, and Callum Ilott for Haas. No Formula 2 this weekend. Formula 2 returns at the 2 final rounds in Bahrain. And that is it this weekend for the newsroom. Lots to talk about, and goodness me, this weekend there is so many question marks. It's going to be a thriller, and so much so, time to head over to my predictions. It's the part of the weekend I absolutely love. I always get it wrong, but it's your chance to give me your predictions as well. But first up, here are my predictions for the 2020 German Grand Prix. In qualifying, I've put Lewis Hamilton on pole, Max Verstappen for 2 weekends in a row to be on the front row alongside him. But with Lance Stroll in P3, I think wet conditions could throw some real spanners in the works on Saturday. I also think a little bit of wet conditions in the air, change in condition throughout the Grand Prix, and maybe a few incidents could leave us with a belter of a Grand Prix on Sunday. I've gone with a Hamilton victory to equal Michael Schumacher's record, Verstappen to hunt him down and really put a stamp on this occasion, taking Hamilton to the fight all the way to the checkered flag. I've put Ricciardo on the podium, Bottas 4th, and Lance Stroll P5. And as always, I want to hear your predictions in the comment section down below. And for your chance to be featured in tomorrow's video, follow this grid and the 2 most liked comments will be featured. In qualifying, I want to know who's going to be in pole position and who's going to be on the front row, but most importantly, who's going to be the biggest shock. And on race day, I want to know who is going to win the German Grand Prix, who's going to be on that podium. Will it be Raikkonen and Grosjean like last time out in 2013? First retirement driver of the day and best of the rest, which for most of 2020 we're considering P4 on the grid. Before we go, Fantasy League time. Last time out, I had an absolute belter. I'm up to 71st position in our league out of 3,600 of you. If you're yet to join, the code is on screen, but I'm climbing. I'm coming for you boys at the top of the standings. No changes this weekend. Hamilton, Ricciardo, Perez, Stroll, Romain Grosjean with Mercedes, my team. And finally, screenshot time at the ready. Here is your weekend schedule for this weekend's Grand Prix. No Formula 2, no Formula 3, just Formula 1 action. And on Friday at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock are your first 2 practice sessions. On Saturday, 11 o'clock is practice 3, qualifying commencing at 2 o'clock. And on Sunday, the big event, the big day, 1 o'clock UK time, the Formula 1 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix. And that is your lot here for the preview here in Germany. I am so excited to be back at the Nürburgring. Wet conditions, cold conditions. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. Thank you all very much for watching. If you are new, feel free to subscribe. Enjoy the weekend, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one.